The strategy meeting collapsed beneath the force of Ramirez's voice before anyone understood the shape of the disaster. "Hey, Rimuru, we got big trouble!" Panic ripped through the chamber with enough urgency to silence even the strongest among them. Rimuru Tempest answered with exhausted humor at first, because catastrophe had become routine in this war. But Ramirez carried terror in her voice, and terror from her meant something had already gone horribly wrong. Gobta's force had returned victorious. Zeranis had supposedly fallen. The warfront around Milim Nava should have stabilized. Instead, every visual feed died at once. The transport gate still functioned. Communication still flickered. Yet every eye watching the battlefield suddenly went blind. "I got a real bad feeling about this," Ramirez confessed, and the room finally understood the difference between confusion and dread. Rimuru's expression hardened instantly. His mind reached the answer before anyone else could speak it aloud. Ciel confirmed the suspicion in silence, and that silence carried more weight than any scream. That would be Velzard. The atmosphere froze around the name alone. Velzard entering the war meant escalation beyond strategy, beyond armies, beyond command itself. Rimuru understood exactly what kind of battlefield emerged once the White Ice Dragon moved seriously. Landscapes vanished, nations disappeared. Time itself seemed to stiffen beneath her power. He turned toward Luminous Valentine immediately, urgency replacing restraint. "It's looking pretty likely that Milim and Velzard got into a fight." That single sentence transformed the room. Luminous remained composed despite the implications pressing against her like a blade at the throat. "We will prepare for Dagrol," she answered calmly. Her control carried quiet gravity because everybody in that room understood the scale of the threat approaching from every direction at once. Meanwhile, Xian surged forward with reckless confidence. "We alone could defeat the giants, even." Rimuru almost smiled. Strength alone failed to explain why he trusted Xian. Logic rarely survived around her. Yet spirit mattered during moments where fear threatened to hollow entire nations from within. Rimuru saw that spirit clearly. Before leaving, he issued one final warning. 4 days before Dagrol's arrival represented only an estimate. Teleportation could erase distance instantly. An enemy capable of crossing continents in moments transformed preparation into illusion. Luminous grasped the meaning immediately. It'd be a very negligent commander who assumed that what we can do, the enemy cannot. Their eyes met briefly. Silent understanding passed between them, like the final calm before a tidal wave. Separate battlefields had begun collapsing into one another. Every warfront bled into the next. Every crisis accelerated the others. Then Rimuru departed for Tempest, while Xian's cheers echoed behind him like defiance against fate itself. He expected chaos upon returning. Reality delivered something worse. The control center displayed apocalypse in motion. Milim Nava raged across the massive screen like a god tearing through creation itself. She had become a true destroyer. Power poured from her violently enough to deform the landscape around her. The earth cracked, the sky distorted. Existence itself seemed to recoil from her fury. And across from her stood Velzard. Beautiful, calm, terrifying. She smiled amidst annihilation, as though the destruction surrounding her belonged to some ancient memory she cherished deeply. Every collision between them resembled the days of the gods. The battlefield had ceased resembling war. It resembled mythology returning to reclaim the world. "What's the deal with this?" Rimuru whispered. "Gobta's recording it," Ramirez answered frantically. That explanation barely registered. Benimaru stepped forward instead, composed even while catastrophe unfolded before his eyes. Gobta's team had confirmed the clash personally after all communication vanished. Then came the detail that truly hollowed the room. Ranga sensed nothing on the battlefield. No blood, no life, no scent. Only ice statues remained. Silent figures frozen forever where they failed to escape in time. The implication struck Rimuru harder than Velzard's power ever could. Carrera had vanished. Carolan had vanished. Frey had vanished. Million-class warriors disappeared without trace. Thought communication failed. Soul corridors answered with silence. Even Milim herself looked completely consumed by destruction. Rimuru forced calm into his breathing. Panic offered nothing. "Summon the remaining dungeon marvels," he ordered immediately. "Have Gobta's team come back." Then he asked the impossible. "Hey, Ramirez, do you think you could bring Milim back to her senses while I hold back Velzard?" Ramirez recoiled violently. Are you asking me to go out there and die, or what? Even Seal offered little reassurance. If somebody had deliberately pushed Milim into berserk rage, then restraint had already vanished from the enemy's calculations. This is a taboo move, Shiel warned. The phrase carried terrifying implications because Rimuru understood exactly what taboos protected the world from. Worse still, another threat lurked beneath the chaos. Ivolage. The World Destroyer Dragon remained a looming possibility waiting beyond the edge of disaster. For one fleeting moment, Rimuru wanted escape. Instinct screamed for survival. But if Milim truly lost herself completely, survival itself would become meaningless. The world would simply cease long before anybody found somewhere safe enough to hide. Before the cabinet fully assembled, Rimuru focused on one desperate gamble. Guy Crimson. He already understood the truth. Strength alone failed here. He could never confront both Velzard and a berserk Milim simultaneously. Courage sounded noble until placed against monsters capable of destroying the planet casually, so he reached out through thought communication. Silence answered first. That silence unsettled him more deeply than anything else. Guy embraced irresponsibility often, yet catastrophe always pulled his attention eventually. Hesitation from him suggested another possibility entirely. Something worse lurked elsewhere. That realization hollowed Rimuru from within. Finally, Rain answered instead, cheerful despite the apocalypse surrounding them. Please allow me, Rain, to exercise my consummate negotiation skills on him. Then Guy cut into the communication with irritation sharp enough to feel familiar. Rimuru, why the hell are you using my Rain as your errand girl? Absurdity survived even here. Their strange relationship had emerged quietly through art rather than politics. Rimuru admired Rain's paintings deeply because her realism bordered on supernatural perception itself. Can you paint nudes without a model? He had asked once with innocent curiosity. It'll cost you, she replied instantly. Even now, surrounded by collapsing battlefields and dying civilizations, the memory surfaced unexpectedly. Seal's commentary sharpened the embarrassment further. So many of your requests have nudity as a motif. Humor flickered briefly. Then reality returned immediately afterward. Behind every joke waited dread. Rimuru understood the approaching truth clearly now. He might soon face Milim personally, while Guy confronted Velzard. Even that strategy offered fragile hope at best. One mistake could erase civilization completely. Still, despair found no place inside him. Now's not the time for this, Rimuru barked before severing the connection. Yet one strangely human thought still anchored itself stubbornly inside his mind. The world absolutely needed to survive long enough for Rain to finish that painting of Hinata. 5 minutes later, the room filled completely. Urgency arrived before words. Benimaru stood like a commander forged from iron itself. Diablo concealed exhaustion behind flawless composure. Gobta trembled visibly in his chair, yet refused retreat. Rimuru recognized something important in that moment. Fear never erased loyalty. The wounded haunted the chamber despite their absence. Geld survived barely. Gable looked stable outwardly, while collapsing internally from magicule depletion. Potions repaired flesh. They failed against exhaustion, consuming the soul itself. Leon Cromwell remained unconscious, somewhere between recovery and death. Every missing ally sharpened the feeling that the world itself was unraveling faster than they could repair it. Beyond strategy waited quieter fears. Children sheltered deep inside the labyrinth. Momiji and Alvis remained protected there as well for the sake of Benimaru's growing family. War had reached a stage where pregnancy required military defense. Then Rimuru shattered the room's remaining calm. With regards to Milim, I'm gonna go to her. The declaration landed like thunder. A ruler entering battle personally bordered on suicide against enemies like these. Diablo volunteered instantly, but Rimuru refused him immediately. Against Milim and Velzard, conventional strength lost meaning entirely. There is no one else who could be counted as war power for us. So Rimuru turned toward Guy Crimson instead, and suddenly the apocalypse became painfully personal. Velzard's motivation emerged with humiliating simplicity. She wanted to fight me for real and prove she's better than me. A lover's quarrel capable of ending the planet. The absurdity almost felt insulting beside the destruction surrounding them. Yet Rimuru refused retreat. Carrera remained trapped somewhere beneath frozen devastation. Countless allies still waited within that nightmare battlefield. Survival without them would carry the taste of failure forever. So dread settled heavily across the room, while Guy finally exhaled in frustration. Fine, fine. If that's how you're gonna be, I'll go along with it. And with that answer, the final line separating war from extinction began to move.